I saw this people tagging me saying that you don't respect Nick. I don't even know what the genesis of this is. Like, what are we talking about? You don't respect Nick Fuentes. Where is this even coming from?
I think I took a lot of it on the chin, and this endless glazing of Dave Smith is just about the most ridiculous thing I've seen all week, and that's saying a lot.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the New Nation podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Before we get into today's video, I would like it if you all could please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It's fun being back here on YouTube. I'd like it if as many people could watch these videos as possible. And also, the reason I'm asking you to share it is because the last video I made it onto a bunch of progressive and liberals YouTube For You page, and they were very mad about it. So if we can do that more, all the engagement helps. I really do appreciate that. Okay, let's get into this video, and I don't really want this video to be too long because I have this cut on the inside of my mouth that my tooth is hitting as I'm talking, and it's annoying. It's not painful, but it's annoying. Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes, what's happening? What's going on? Will there be a repair in the relationship, or will collaboration never happen? Let's talk about that for a little bit. I think the rift happened when a lot of people started to reach out to Candace Owens and say, hey, you have to get Nick on your show. Nick has kind of laid the groundwork and the foundation for a lot of people to start talking about these things openly, specifically because Nick has been banned from every mainstream social media account, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, because he has talked about these things. And now that Candace is talking about these things, a lot of people seem to think that Candace, owes a bit of gratitude to Nick for kind of opening the door to speak about these things publicly. So then when Candace was seeing all these people, mention this to her in her comments and stuff like that, this is how she responded.
Yeah, I saw this people tagging me saying that you don't respect Nick. I don't even know what the genesis of this is. Like, what are we talking about? You don't respect Nick Fuentes. Where is this even coming from? People saying, will you have Nick Fuentes on YouTube? Every single person in the world knows that my show is on YouTube. Nick Fuentes is banned from YouTube. He's not allowed to be on YouTube. You will get a strike if you are on YouTube. So you're asking me to have a conversation with Nick Fuentes, put it up on a different platform that I'm not on, just because you want me to have a conversation with him, and then saying out of respect, nothing. Okay, two sides of this that drive me crazy. I get very annoyed when I'm on Piers Morgan and then they ask me do you disavow Nick Fuentes, right? Because I didn't make a vow to Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is not my husband. It's this leftist tactic of trying to get people to disavow an entire human being rather than to simply say what I don't agree with. That's why I don't engage in it. I've never done it. I think it's stupid. If you have a statement that Nick Fuentes has said and you want to ask me if I agree with it, I will say yes or no. But you're not going to get me to play your little leftist game, which is really just cancel culture, and you guys do it all the time. But on the other side of that, this weird kind of have you paid your respects? It's the same thing. I have always been an honest person. I communicate exactly what it is that I think, exactly what it is that I am going through. I have no vows to any person but my husband, plain and simple. And so I have said several times, there was not a single person that I would not have a conversation with. Actually, there's one. I'm thinking about one person. I'm not going to say the person's name because I just think the person is just always trolling. But I would not have a conversation with any other person in the world. And by saying you have to have a conversation, the vibes of that are weird. And I told you guys yesterday, I don't understand, and I haven't looked into these attacks on Dave Smith. I absolutely love Dave Smith, and I want to work with Dave Smith more on kind of learning history, and he seems to be a great resource of history, and he's been very courageous in standing up to the Zionist lobby, or I say the radical Zionists, and attack him all the time and tell him that he's not Jewish. So it just feels like one of these things where I'm not sure what all of this is about. So I'm happy to read your comments and read your assessments of what that is, but I see that popping up, and I'm just not sure where it's coming from.
Now, I do understand from Candace's point of view, I guess platforming Nick would be a little bit risky in her eyes because she does have a giant YouTube channel. Now, for me, I've had Nick on a show that I did a year or two ago. I think one was a year ago, the other one was 2 years ago, twice, and it was a smaller YouTube channel. So the number of eyes on those shows weren't as big as the number of eyes that would be on Candace's show if she platformed Nick. So I think Candace is hesitant to platform Nick because she doesn't want to lose those YouTube channels. However, at the same time, she is discussing topics that would get other people strikes or notices on their YouTube in the same way that she's talking about them. And also Candace has platformed other people that, I mean, haven't been good for other people's channels as well and will get you in trouble, people like Andrew Tate or the Tates. So the people think, this isn't my opinion, but people think that it's unfair that Candace can platform other controversial people and not Nick because Nick's a greater threat to her channel. I do understand that. However, there are plenty of other options that Candace can use to host Nick on a space, for instance, on X, or maybe on a Rumble channel. I know that you can mirror your YouTube channel to Rumble, and plenty of people have shows on Rumble. Rumble is a great place to basically talk about anything without the fear of being censored. Nick hosts his own AF show on Rumble, and it's very popular, and I try to watch it daily. So it's one of the criticisms that I guess that I would objectively have if I was looking at the situation from the outside. If there's a little fear of having Nick on, there are alternate spaces where you can host Nick. And this was true because Jeremy Boring from the Daily Wire, after he fired Candace Owens, did speak to Nick on an X space hosted by, I think, someone from TPUSA. But here's a snippet of that.
I don't like that guys like Shapiro will not say Christ is King, America first. I think they forfeit their ability to lead. I would never listen to somebody that can't say those things because, I mean, those things are really the foundation of wisdom, which is the love of God, which, as you say, goes through the Son, as we all know, can only go through Jesus, and oikophilia, which is, your love of your home, your love of your homeland that you reside in, not some other homeland. So I just want to get that across to you. It's kind of a strange circumstance that we're talking, but that's how I feel about it.
And I'll say this, Nick, that I listen to your show quite often. I think you're one of the most talented people out there, and I'm very concerned about some of the things that you're saying. I wish, I think that you're a very gifted communicator, and so it's hard for me to imagine that you consistently miscommunicate. I'll build the floor back to all the people who actually came on here to talk to each other.
And Nick's reaction is one that, I mean, I can generally sympathize with, right? If he feels that he has laid the groundwork for a lot of people to be more vocal about these things, that he should be given a little bit of credit. And one of Nick's main frustrations is that Candace speaks a lot and has Dave Smith on the show, and Dave Smith is a comedian, not really a historian. I guess he's just well-researched, if that. But Candace has had a couple of conversations with Dave Smith, and Dave Smith is what Nick alleges to be is a token Jew. He's someone who is Jewish, who can talk about these things and not be labeled an anti-Semite because he is Jewish. So it's kind of more of a safe play to maybe platform Dave Smith than it is to platform Nick Fuentes. But here's Nick Fuentes' response to Candace.
Candace, when you're ready, give me a call. I'm waiting by the phone, waiting for your call, waiting for you to do the right thing. But until then, I'm out, And for that reason, I'm out. I'm waiting for the call when you're ready to get serious. You tell me when you're serious about telling the truth about the Jews, not the Frankists, when you're serious about getting the facts right, when you're serious about building a real movement, and that involves the organic energy of the Groypers, when you're not afraid of the press and you don't have a Jewish producer, give me a call. We'll be waiting for you to join the right side of history. Until then, as far as I'm concerned, it's just more of the same bullshit. So, and people can call that divisive or infighting or whatever. Look, I had no problem. I was a team player. I did favors and things like that. I was generous of my time. I think I took a lot of it on the chin. And, this endless glazing of Dave Smith is just about the most ridiculous thing I've seen all week. And that's saying a lot. But then you start going and saying it's the Frankists. Yeah, I question what even the value is anymore at that point. I don't even really understand what it's really all for.
All in all, I don't think it's really infighting. I think it's just two people with very large followings, very big personalities, who feel like one maybe feels like he's being owed something, and the other feels like she doesn't necessarily owes anything. And I don't know. It really sucks for people like me, because we really would love to see both people sit down with each other, because we feel that both people have a lot of things to talk about, things that they share in common, maybe things that they disagree with. So if anything, this feud is just kind of like, or supposed feud is just kind of highlighting broader divisions within the right wing. that I wish weren't happening, but they do. They do. And it's just something that happens on social media. Two people will say something, and then their fans will attack the other fans, and then they'll attack each other, and it just goes on ad nauseum until also a lot of people who aren't fans of Nick's, they perceive the way he's talking about this as not defensive, but offensive. So he's on the offense, when I think it's just really the way he talks. You know, he talks very truthfully. He doesn't really hold anything back. So what could sound like an attack really isn't an attack, and I don't want to call it an attack. Just his feelings and frustrations about things. And the same with Candace. You know what I mean? I understand that after her being fired from the Daily Wire, she does have a sort of brand to protect, and she is, you know, she would be. I don't want to say that she is, because I haven't talked to her about this. I don't really know how she feels about this, but I would almost feel the same way if I had a channel as big, especially on YouTube. Would it be wise to sort of have Nick on? But if the thing is, if you're having the Tates on, then I don't know. The Tates really don't get the same response from the social media overlords as Nick does. So I understand the hesitation, but I also acknowledge that there are other ways to have this conversation publicly. And I really do hope it happens. That's the video, guys. Not too long. I just want to see what you think about it. I know that I can, post a thought on X, but I'd rather make a video about it just to show you guys clips and give a little bit of context to what happened. See you next time.